In this video, I will be interviewing Debra Ann Matthews, owner of Let Me Write It For You. Welcome to Chavonne's World. I am Chavonne Chase, helping you live life unlimited. Hello, Debra. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I am so excited to have you here as I've let the audience know that we met in a SCORE class, learning how to do all kinds of business functions, and you were really inspirational with the advice and the participation, and so I reached out to you, and you have helped me with my business, so I would like for you to give us some tips to the audience so they can better improve on their business. One of the topics that you do speak and write about are 8 tips for businesses to consider when they're expanding, whether it's on contracts, bids, or proposals. So what advice do you have for us today? What's tip number 1?
Okay, well, thank you. I think tip number 1 is, before we begin, I want to say that, Chavonne, you also inspired me. I wasn't really looking at investing a whole lot of capital in some of the things that you said, but as I got to know you better and really understood the value of the essential oils and wellness, I began to drink the Kool-Aid. So I started making plans to really just incorporate more wellness, more natural products in my life for energy, for clearer thinking, and for just overall wellness. So we can't just let the audience know that I helped you, but you in turn helped me. So I thank you very much for that. And it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure to meet you. So thank you so much. The first tip I would say that would help businesses, whether you're a small business, a medium-sized business, or even a franchise, is to really understand who your audience is. A lot of times when we have a business, we want to get everybody to come to my business, buy my product, come and join this, come to this presentation. But truly, people are busy, number one. Most people that you interact with are not going to be interested in your business or interested in your product. So if you can understand not only the type of people who can use your service or your product, but more importantly, who is it that you like working with? You know, who is your ideal customer? What type of person, when they come to you and they say, oh, I do writing, so I need your writing services. And then they listen to you, they go, oh my goodness. This one lady called me from Vanderbilt. She's a nurse. I said, how did you find out about me? She said, I saw you on LinkedIn, and when I saw you, I knew you was my gal. And I said, okay, I'll be your gal. And when she gave me that $1,500 on that American Express card, I knew she was my gal. So you want people who are, you know, especially for a service, the essence of what you do, they actually don't know how to do. Or they don't have time to do it. I meet a lot of people who can speak well, who are very well educated, but they don't have the time or energy to promote themselves. So they need someone else to look on the outside and pull out what's beneficial. And it relates to just resumes or career communications or bios or profiles or whatever you're writing. The second thing I would encourage people to do, even if you're an entry-level business person, if you're just starting out, is to put together a media kit. Sometimes you have to fake your credibility in the sense to showcase your passion, and not just the word passion, but you have to showcase why is it that you are a renowned expert on what you're doing. And the way that you do that is you put together a media kit. You give your media kit an introduction. You include some professional photos. You include questions for the press to ask you when they interview you. You also include a price list. And then you include either a list of your customers and testimonies, or you include the type of services that you want to provide. And you include the way that you've been communicated with on social media. You include your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your articles. You know, everybody should be writing articles about, blog posts about their expertise area. Sometimes when you have a franchise, they'll provide all of that for you, and then they'll do your profile, they'll do your bio and add it to, say if you own a Wendy's or a franchise business. But in general, you need to have those types of things, because that's one way you can get free advertisements. Radio, TV, community shows, they all are looking for information, particularly between July and December. So before you even begin to think about, oh, I want to get big business, or some people think I want to get grants, before you get all of that, you really have to have who you are and what you do and what makes your company credible down pat on paper in a way that is meaningful for your audience. So in some instances you may need a 300-word bio. In some instances you may need a 600-word bio, because based on the platform, if you're asked to speak at the Rotary, or if you're asked to speak at the Civitan, or if you're asked to speak at a business luncheon, based on how their platform is, they'll say, well, send me this, send me that. And that's very important. The one big thing that businesses need that they may not think about is also a capability statement. In some instances, it's a business resume. So it's a very attractive document. Sometimes it's back and forth, but what it has on it, it has your customers, examples of who your customers are, and that's one of the big questions people are going to ask you. Who are some of your customers? You know, I did a resume for the first Miss Black University of Memphis who wanted to go teach in South Africa. I did some writings for one of the very first Harlem Globetrotters. So people want to know, who are your customers? So if you have a little local celebrity or a unique customer, be ready to share that, because that lends itself to your credibility. So getting ready for grants and bids and proposals, you have to do a few little things that may be cumbersome. And in that capability statement, you also, and this is probably step number one as we think about it, you have to get a Dun & Bradstreet number, an NAICS number, a SAMS number. There are lots of numbers that go with business. Because what happens when you meet someone and you give them your resume, you give them your business card, they're not going to remember what you look like. But when they have your business card, they're going to remember, they're going to know the Dunn number. They're going to know the NAICS number. If they need a writer, or if they need a photographer, or we were talking earlier, having a wellness component in your business, having a yoga instructor come in and do yoga during lunch, or an early morning breakfast stretch, or a essential oils table for lunch for your customers, that helps the companies to win, because your customers, your employees are more calmer, they have good back health, good knee health, and then they're able to be more productive, less accidents. So all of these things, they can't remember if they meet you, but if they have your business card and it has that information on it, they use that when they're putting together bids. They use that when they put together budgets. So when you practice doing that as a business, then you help people to help you. So that's very important. And all of these things are free. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So, those were really good tips. As far as the customers, I have noticed after I got that tip is narrow and focus and find the people who you like and you want to work with, because everybody's not going to need your service. You want everybody to have your service, but everybody's not going to need it. Everybody's not going to be interested. And even those that are interested, do you really want the headache of working with people who you don't get along with? So it's easier to approach those customers, and the business kids. Such good information. Even I learned more on top of business kits today than I knew before. So awesome. That's what this platform is for. Business kits and those items that are necessary to go in there. You mentioned some, like your photos and some writings. Exactly what type of photos should somebody have? Because I say that because I can just see somebody throwing a picture of their kid, and I don't think that's what we might be looking for.
Well, actually, there is a component that says when you blog, if you were going to use animals, use dogs, because more than 70% of people love dogs. Not that many, like 35% of people like cats. So it's about understanding marketing. So if you were going to do a blog or a Facebook post and you're talking about your business, put your animal in there. But just be mindful. But people have really sophisticated cell phones and things like that. But we're in business and we have to invest in professional shots. And the reason is, if it's a newspaper or a magazine, a lot of times a magazine will throw my ad in there. Sometimes I work with an advertiser out of Nashville, and he said, can I use your business because it's so unique? Because most of the time they just use restaurant coupons, so they smack my business right in there. So you have to have professional photo quality, and that's, because they're not going to put it in there if it's not professional. So you really need to have a professional head headshots where the photographer understands how to balance your lighting and the bleeding lines. That's very important apparently when you're looking at photography. And even if it's a still photo that a television studio will use, remember, news, I guess that much news doesn't happen. We think it does, but in the fall, so between November and January, you could really get a lot of free press. And that's just going to help your brand. The more you clearly communicate who you are and clearly communicate the value that you bring, your ideal audience will grab it. The media, newspapers, television, local community newspapers, local community radio stations would say, come and talk to us and share with us your brand. And people who watch TV and flip the channels, they'll stop and go, oh, I saw this television show. Or even on the internet, when you go to YouTube, it just spins different related articles. And then you promote it. So you want to be very mindful of that. It's very important. Certainly there's a place for your Facebook pictures and pictures from your cell phone because the quality is good, but you don't want to only use that. You want to have a mix.
Yes, that is so true. Professional. You always want to have that professional quality.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
As far as your capability statement and and I know these are going to differ according to what your skill sets are, but what are some things you want to make sure you want to put in a capability statement?
Okay, you think of it like this. With your capability statement, you're meeting business to business people. So you're meeting, I met a lady who sells tape. Isn't that amazing? That's all she sells. She sells different size tape. You need tape for everything. You don't even realize how much you use tape. So what she does is she goes and I was going to bring some samples. She sells tape. I met people who do janitorial work. I met people who, like myself, who are writers and do press releases and that type of thing. I met people who are truck drivers. I met people. So every profession in the world, we're coming together. So we're wanting to know what service you offer and how can your service help me. So on your capability statement, you're going to have all of the codes. You're Dun & Bradstreet. You're a North American Industry Classification Code. We call it they call it the NAMS, but I just call it the NAICS number. You want to have a list of your skill sets. So if you look under the NAICS number, it's going to tell you your skill sets. So for instance, for my profession, I'm a writer. Then such skill sets as desktop publishing, dictation services, document preparation services, document transcription services, editing and letter writing services, proofreading services, radio transcription services, secretarial services, stenographic services, and periodic publishers. Those are skill sets that relate to what I do. And in fact, once you start really understanding what you do, you'll understand the market for it. So in many instances, most companies already have a built-in writing staff. So for my business, for instance, and this comes with really just knowing your industry, I help people who are trying to get prepared. That's where I can use my business services. So on your capability statement, you're going to have what you do. You're going to have, sometimes you can have testimonies, customers that have said great things about you. If the mayor attended your seminar and said something, quote it. Definitely get permission first. If a local celebrity or local business person that everybody knows, like Rural King, if the owners of Rural King said something, promote it because that's a local hardware store in Clarksville. You're going to have a list of your workshops and trainings. If you spoke at the YMCA or the local Girls and Boys Club or at the Civic Center, you're going to put a list of those places you've trained or places where you've done demonstrations. Because what they're trying to learn is about your business service. You're going to put, if you do trainings, and for those who are presenters, teachers, educators, public speakers, dance and entertainment groups, we did a kit for a young man who is he's a jazz artist / rapper, and he came up with this art form called Rapido. So is that not interesting? And he was taught by one of Dizzy Gillespie's band members in Alabama. So he's at school in TSU, and they actually have at TSU a recording major. So he is a performer, and he can perform all types of music. So we actually put links to his music. So when you look at his capabilities tab, you can go right to him and listen to what the music he plays. That's the sort of thing that you put. That way they can Google you and know where to go. They can know how to contact you. And once again, they can look at how can we fit this skill set into our needs. So certainly people need music for award shows, ceremonies, special events in the workplace, school events, club events. So they could definitely use it. You can use anybody, a writer, an entertainer, a photographer. You can use all of those services. So when you're putting your capability statement together, you want to put the content together and then get a graphic designer to make it visually appealing. You can do it yourself if you have some skill sets, but you want to make it visually appealing. And it's usually a back and front side copy in color. Does that make sense?
It does. Very good tips.
Excellent.
And as we talked about the capability statement and everything, the other three other tips that we also covered, the one thing that I do see that we have is understanding your audience. Very understand to tailor your writing, your visuals, your message to a specific audience.
Very much so, very much so. I think that you had mentioned that earlier, and I was thinking about you want to have a good experience. So you don't want someone who just needs your service, because everybody who needs your service, they're still not your ideal customer. You want to have someone who needs your service and appreciates investing in your service. And that's where you don't have to charge low amount. You charge a reasonable amount. Because first of all, when people see things that don't cost that much, they don't value and appreciate that. And that's very important. I had a gentleman call me recently and he said, oh, I was looking at your website and I want a $300 resume. I said, how much money do you make? He said, I make $97.5. And I said, well, sir, you can get that $300 resume, but you're not going to get a job with it. Because you're used to managing all over the United States. What will a $300 resume say to that? And he said yes, because he understood investing in his professional self so that he can get the desired outcome, which would be another opportunity where he would be able to help a company just to have the right talent, to work smart, not harder, and safe. And that's his specialty. And I have to say, he only had a high school diploma. So a lot of times you don't always have to service people who have all this education, because people who are talented are just talented, regardless of education. They're just really talented. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. Wow, that was a lot. Unfortunately, today we're short on time. However, we want to keep this discussion going and keep helping our listeners. So can you tell our audience where they can find Miss Debra Ann Matthews?
Excellent. Actually, there are 7 Debra Matthews in the state of Tennessee. So we go by Debra Ann Matthews. And my business is called Let Me Write It For You. You can Google my name. You can look me up on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Google+, on Twitter, on Reddit, under the same name. Let Me Write It For You, Debra Ann Matthews. My number is 931-269-9718. That's our business line, and we'll be glad to assist you with any of your writing needs.
Thank you once again. That ends today's show. Thank you for joining this edition of Chavonne's World. Until next time, helping you live life unlimited.